Test, test, test. I'm sitting
Test,
here now
test.
with Billy and Hutch from Nerding Out About podcast. I believe you guys are also going to do a podcast today, or did you do one already, record one?
We did. We were very excited. We've got a little promo already to set up to celebrate Gods and Monsters.
Tell people, can they find you on iTunes as well as your website? Tell us your website.
They can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us at nerdingoutabout.com.
Nerdingoutabout.com.
We're on
Very good.
all the social media websites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We've got a Friendster account. We're still waiting for that one sort of friend on Friendster. We haven't gotten that yet. So
Anybody in particular?
No.
Just looking for that one friend. Well, so you're very familiar with what goes on here in Central Florida.
Yes.
Trying to compare to what you see on a daily basis at the mall to what you're seeing today.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Right? This is insane. Like I've already kind of blown it up on the Facebook page of like, you need to come down to Gods and Monsters because right now it is either the world's best comic book shop or the world's best permanent con right now. It's fantastic. Like everything that you could possibly get. You've got a coffee shop. You've got like the comics, the toys. Like I'm worried that I'm going to go home and my wife's going to divorce me because I've spent all of the money that we had on, comic books and toys and things like that. But
last night I came and we were going to do the rehearsals and we set up our audio and video and everything was great because nobody was using the Wi-Fi.
Right.
Not the case now. But I was setting up and the things were going and the videos were on the screens. There was some video commercials that I put together just for Gods and Monsters. They were up on the screens and the music came through and it was playing some Twin Peaks music because I love that show. And I called my wife and I said, I'm just not going home.
Yeah.
This is my new home. I love it here.
I don't know whether we should call this like a husband daycare. Do you know what I mean? Like wives, do you want a day of shopping? You want a day to yourself? Drop your husband off. They'll spend all day here.
Yeah, just hold your husband's hand, walk him to the door, pat him on the head, and send him on inside. He'll be safe here for an hour or two.
Absolutely. Hutch, what do you think? I mean, because you've lived in Central Florida for longer than I have. I mean,
it's overdue.
Yeah.
This is nerd mecca here. It's absolutely amazing what they have available here between the artwork, the tchotchkes, all that. Like my desk is going to forever change because of this store.
That is one of the unique things about not only this store but this mall. There's a place for local artists to come here and sell their artwork, and I can't think of any other place that's like that. Certainly not any other comic book store that's like that to this extent.
It's certainly the right direction for this mall specifically. Like this mall has been kind of slow for the longest period of time.
Correct.
And it seems like you guys are doing like a cultural change here. You're connecting with the other stores in the area. It's very artsy feeling. It's incredible. It's a very awesome atmosphere.
It was very smart of them to get in with the other businesses here. I'm thinking of, I was here at 3 a.m. and the store across the way, I can't see the name of the sign there, it's kind of blocked, but they were here as well at 3 a.m. just getting their store prepared for today, and they've spoken with Todd and Anna. They have kind of a business relationship. I kind of say it's like when David Letterman moved to Ed Sullivan Theater and Hello Deli suddenly became Hello Deli. They got to become popular because of the store they were next to, and I kind of feel like every store in this mall is going to benefit from Gods and Monsters being here for sure.
well, I think it's true. I think we're living in the era where like, what did they say? The geek shall inherit. Like
Right.
I feel like this is becoming less like non-mainstream, and this is becoming the norm. Like people are coming out. Like you've got like fathers and sons and mothers, and you've got whole families. It's like I was walking up, they were like, "Yeah, we're going to a comic book shop, and it's got to have toys and it has everything now." You know?
It's changed how family friendly it's all become, and this store is a perfect example of that for sure. My 11-year-old and my 7-year-old are here right now in costumes around here, hopefully with their mother. And they're just they're a part of this culture now. I mean, in a way, everybody is in one form or another. If you don't love science fiction movies, you may love comic books. I mean, there's something here for everyone.
You mentioned you were here at 3 a.m. Was that like to work, or you were just?
We were just doing audio and
they
video.
couldn't
tests.
get you out of the store.
No, yeah. Well, since there was somebody here, one of the employees here has just been sleeping here. He does his work and then he falls asleep in the back offices. That's Mouse. Mouse was the one who stayed here last night. Spider has also been spending many nights here, just working right up until the day of the launch. And so there's always somebody here.
Well, I don't know if who we can talk to, be it a manager or something like that, but to initiate sort of grown man sleepovers here at the store. Get some vintage video games going, and maybe some old movies.
I
you know
think
what
we're
I
onto
mean?
something.
Like,
The back room where the projector is, we could, and they'll have. They said Netflix or whatever hooked up to that as well. I mean,
perfect. I'm thinking Smash Brothers tournaments.
This is the place to do our binge watching, perhaps.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. Maybe all of the Star Wars movies before the next movie comes out.
I imagine
you know?
with that this movie coming out in December, this is the place you're going to want to be before that movie comes out.
Right. Well, we did record a podcast earlier today, but one of the things that we like to do on Nerding Out About is we have a Bob Hollywood segment.
Hollywood.
This is where you're given the keys to the kingdom, and you're able to sort of come up with your way of doing certain franchises or certain movies. So we wanted to, as to extend a leaf, a comic book bouquet to the people of Gods and Monsters to welcome them as official friends of the Nerding Out About podcast. We wanted to propose a Bob Hollywood question to you. Okay. So your mission.
Go ahead with your question, caller.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, you need to give me a superhero franchise that hasn't been done yet, and cast the movie for me and show me how to do it. So it can be any superhero, but it can't have been touched already. It can be in it can be in the back catalogs. It can be a superhero that most people have never heard of. Who do you cast? How do you do the movie?
My first thought was The Tick, but it has been done, but not in a feature film capacity. It's been done as a cartoon and then as a TV show.
No, but there's a rumor that that they're working on.
They're supposed to be coming back with that. I did hear that, and I heard it from him, I believe, in an interview that he said that it was coming back. I think it may have been coming back. I don't know if it was with Fox again. Unfortunately, it didn't last very long on Fox. But to have The Tick, look at that, The Tick.
I had to.
To have The Tick come back again and have it be Patrick Warburton. How do you say his last name? Patrick Warburton?
Yeah,
Warburton.
I mean, what a perfect casting call that was with him.
Oh my gosh.
I think, unfortunately, the show came out right around the time of September 11th, because I was working at the Fox station here in town. That's where I currently work. And I remember that coming out, and it didn't hit. And it's such a shame because Tony Shalhoub, wasn't he also on that as well?
He was on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just a fantastic casting on that show. I would love to see that taken to the next level and go and be a movie. But that's not really answering your question, is it?
No, it's not. I didn't want to like.
I know. I was diverting.
Come
I was
at you.
deflecting. I was deflecting. Wow, look at these costumes. Deflect.
Oh, this is great.
I got to think about something. Well, let me think in the back of my head. What's something that hasn't been utilized yet?
Well, there's plenty of different like superheroes, and that's why I love coming here because right now we have all of these like sort of mainstream references. Like if you look up, you see like Asylum Receiving and Arkham and things like that. But then you look right next to it, and it's Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck, who just recently made an appearance. Spoiler alert! At the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. But fantastic to see him here. I think he's well represented because I believe Todd is a very big fan.
Yeah. Well, that was the first Marvel movie. We talk about that on the show all the time.
I didn't think about that, yeah.
The very first how harrowing is that the very first Marvel movie ever done was Howard the Duck.
Gosh, now was the next one after that the Captain America from 1990?
Oh my gosh,
I think so. Yeah, I think it was
wow.
Captain America was next.
No wonder it disappeared for a couple of decades.
Yeah, that was a rough movie.
Yeah,
he's
that
on
was
the motorcycle and like,
I can remember I was working at a movie theater in 1989, and they put up the teaser posters, and all it was the Captain America shield. And I'm like, this is it, here we go. After the successor or the hype for Batman, which was about to come out, and then, oh boy, that had student film written all over it.
Hutch.
And then Marvel kind of just disappeared for a while in theaters.
Yeah. Well, Hutch, what about you, man? If you could take any sort of, I know you're not a big comic book guy. You tend to be more on the cinematic side of things. Like, if you could create a superhero, what if we brought something back too? I'll let you revitalize a franchise now. We'll extend the rules a little bit.
I already did that.
Not the Tick though. You could revitalize a franchise, or maybe take an older. You know what I would love to see a reboot of, and this is completely out of comic book worlds. Greatest American Hero.
Oh,
do you remember?
Absolutely.
You remember that television show, The Greatest American Hero?
Vaguely.
Nicky, what was his name? Cat was his last name. The actor, the star of the show.
Oh my gosh, this is where we need it.
It wasn't Nicky Cat. It was.
No, but it was
with the blonde, with the curly hair, and then the hot chick from the TV show Hotel. Oh God. But you're absolutely right. And somebody must be working on that right now, right? Somebody somewhere has to be working on that.
It's a good mixture of superhero comedy and action and get like an actor. I hate to say Chris Pratt, but you can put him in.
Oh geez, that guy.
Put him in.
By the way, Chris Pratt today. I just read one review from the Wall Street Journal. They're killing this movie.
Oh, did you see it?
No, I have not seen it. So after I read half the review, I stopped because I really want to see it for myself. But the Wall Street Journal today or yesterday
Jurassic World
destroyed it. Yeah.
Just go in with.
Can you put your headsets on? I want to ask you a question.
Just go in with rock.
This flip camera is dead, but I have another one that's zipped up in a case. Can you just hit record on that one, and we'll just keep going? Because I don't want to lose that last camera. But yeah, I don't want to read any more reviews. I really want to see it for myself.
If you go in with rock bottom expectations, because I couldn't wait, I had to see it the night of.
Right.
And go in with rock bottom expectations, and the only way you can go is up.
Good.
I mean, honestly, the film suffers in a lot of like eye rolling, like, oh my God, really? You're going with this stereotype or that stereotype? But the film is actually, it's decent.
Well, that's good to hear. I can do that if you want, Greg. I know what to do.
But to answer your question,
I'll hit
Billy,
record.
I would love to see a film adaptation of a short-lived comic book series where it was Superman versus aliens.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
I think that would be amazing. Superman loses all of his powers because of the darkened atmosphere of LV-426.
That's a great. It's recording.
Yeah, I think that would be.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and it was Superman with the chest burster coming out. Booyah!
Okay.
That's good.
What about you? What's your answer, Billy? Let's hear. You're revitalizing a comic book franchise. You're going to breathe life into something cinematically. What do you do?
I feel like I would lean more towards the darker side of comic books. I enjoyed the Spawn movie. I might go back and see like an R-rated Spawn, like a much darker version of Spawn. There was a short fan film that came out on YouTube and stuff like that, and I feel like
The Punisher?
No, of Spawn.
Oh, of Spawn.
And it took place in like a grocery store. You know what I mean? Like of all places for it to take place. But it's great. It's on YouTube. Maybe that or Resurrection Man. Resurrection Man was a superhero that every time he died, when he came back to life, he had a different power that he had to master.
Oh, very interesting.
Was he striving from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong,
Hey, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
and hoping that each revitalizing his
be
next
the-
revitalizing home?
Yes.
Sorry, every episode we always find a
that's
way
good.
to include Quantum Leap into something.
And with your idea, with your question, you got to think about what's going on right now on Netflix. And I almost said Daredevil.
What did you think? What did you think? Did you see it?
I'm 2 episodes in, and I just love it. And I think The Punisher, for example, you were saying, or what was the movie you just mentioned before that? Spawn.
Spawn.
Imagine that coming back as a TV show on Netflix. So you know they got to be thinking about that stuff.
What did you think of the new Punisher casting news for Daredevil season 2?
I don't know yet. I mean, it's tough to. I mean, remember how many people thought about Michael Keaton being Batman? Where it was like, what? Mr. Mom's gonna be Batman? You gotta see it play out, I suppose.
Yeah.
However, how many people are thinking about who Batman's gonna be now and saying, man,
Batfleck.
I don't know.
You're not excited about Batfleck? I am so excited because if he's good, it's going to be like Heath Ledger
I
as
know.
the Joker. It's
It
like
is
the 10
true.
things I hate about you guy was the Joker. Like, you'll accept it, and it's.
Yes, closer.
It,
Is it bumping? Oh, if I turn my head like this, does it sound so good? You're saying? Okay. Is that better if I just up? Now the Star Wars music is pumping through the store, the cantina ground.
I kind of feel like with that microphone that you're using, you should have a cord
I know.
hanging down
Ladies
so
and
you can
gentlemen,
just.
in this corner.
let's get ready to nerd out.
What have you guys thought about the photos that have come out for Harley Quinn? I
Oh.
stared at that photo for so long, I almost didn't notice Will Smith. For a
You
few
didn't
minutes.
notice he was in
Wait,
the picture.
he was
Right.
in there?
Exactly.
It's okay. I mean,
Doing okay?
we're leaning more towards, sort of like a darker retelling of Harley Quinn. I don't know how. I feel better about Harley Quinn than I feel about Jared Leto Joker right now with all the tattoos and the sort of like purple.
Chrome teeth.
I saw something on Yahoo the other day, like you gotta Jared Leto photos just coming out, crazy new Batman. You need to see this, and it's like, nah, I don't need to see it. I'd rather see it in the theater and be surprised by it.
You don't like the internet telling you
I
what
don't
to
like
do.
things leaking out. I've done a very good job of, and I did this with The Phantom Menace. I didn't watch the trailers. I don't want to know. Trailers are made to convince you to go see movies. I don't need to be convinced. I'm going to go see the new Star Wars movie. Believe me, you don't have to convince me. So I've stayed away from the trailer.
So your disappointment was completely unbiased when you walked into the theater of episode 1.
I remember the closing credits and the circle came down, and I was like, that was it?
And then I sat there and wept with
Right.
all the other nerds.
And then, unfortunately, I sat and watched it again, as we all did.
And again and again.
Because
Because
we
that's
watched
one
it
of
a
those
second
movies.
time where I was like, maybe I was just having an off night. Let's watch it again. And that's why it was the highest
Yeah,
box office movie for many years.
I've been having one of those off days for 17 years now. it's never worked.
Well, I know confidence is high for the new Star Wars movies for sure.
The
Yes.
Force Awakens.
It's in the right hands.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah, what did you think of the reboot with Star Trek?
When I first saw it, and as many people do, they protect the original series. They keep it very close to their heart. And when you see a movie come in and says, we're going to travel through time and erase all of that, my thoughts at the end of the movie was, okay, now where's the part where they go back and they correct the timeline? No, they're not going to do that. Why? So that they can start the whole timeline over. So at first I was like, I wasn't happy with that. But then after a while I realized this timeline is this timeline, and we loved it and enjoyed it growing up. And this is something new, and I'm okay with that now.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Simon Pegg recently started talking a little bit about the script since he's working on Star Trek 3.
Oh.
And he's talking about how they're going to do new aliens and new storylines and
Right.
things
It's
like
not
that.
necessary to bring up the same old aliens and green dancing chicks. Not that I can complain about that.
Why would you say that?
Right.
Why would you get rid of
Yeah.
the green alien girls?
But absolutely, bring new creatures in. Why not? I mean, this is a different timeline. You don't have to bring the Tribbles in, even though they've already done that. Bring us some new things.
Can we dream too the fact that like JJ just like very secretly sneaks in the Millennium Falcon in the Star Trek
yeah.
3? Just really quick, just a flyby, like Chewie's mooning them as they fly by. Do you know what I mean?
He knows his audience. He knows the internet is the place to just give us just a little hint of something like that, and then just move on. That's very good that he does that. Little teases.
I absolutely loved in an interview recently. JJ was talking about how he wanted to have like a small pile of bones in the background of the desert for episode 7, where that's going to be Jar Jar. That's what happened to Jar Jar. JJ killed Jar Jar for the rest of us
He
nerds.
filmed it. He filmed it apparently, and he tried to be like, "Hey, can we put this in?" And they're like, "We can't do that. It'll piss
Yeah,
off George."
I remember years ago at maybe it was at Celebration, somebody from the Dave School created a cartoon of Han Solo and Chewbacca, and we found out that when there was a flashback to when they were boarded, because Han Solo says, "Hey, everyone gets boarded sometimes." He had to ditch his cargo.
Yeah.
His cargo was Jar Jar Binks, who was then discarded out into space. And it was just a great little 10-minute cartoon that the Dave School Institute had put together, and they showed it at Celebration. It was a great idea.
Give the fans what they want.
Give the fans what they want. Tie everything together. So, what else have you seen here today? I mean, I've been over to the art gallery a little bit, but what else is it that you're seeing? Or perhaps let's look towards the future. What else do you want to see here in the future at not only the Artigan Mall, but perhaps Gods and Monsters?
Honestly, it's everything that I thought it was going to be and more. So I can't even go beyond that. I could see some themed nights definitely in the future.
That's what I was going to say. The theme nights, especially Star Wars coming up.
Star Wars coming up. I mean, they've got those tables back there. Maybe some Cards Against Humanity. I don't know what the plans are for that back court, but I saw those tables.
Yeah, it's going to be for the kids who play the card games, the Magic the Gathering and stuff like that. But there'll be also other events that I'm not familiar with right now.
Craft beer night, perhaps. Can we do?
Very good.
I'm thinking beer, comics, two great tastes taste great together.
That is a great idea.
I like where your head's at, McCoy.
Plus, no kids, right? It's 21 and over, and it'll be
That's
like
right.
they start showing up, and be like, sorry.
That's right. I drive by on 1792 near 436. There's a store. All it says on the wall is games. I don't know what the name of the store is, but I drive by it all the time, and it's always busy, and it's always the kids at the tables playing the card games. I mean, it is so popular still. I mean, I'm thinking Pokemon, but it's much more than that. The Magic the Gathering. I mean, it's so much more than that.
Right.
And I see that store always packed. The tables are always full. The parking lot is always full. And that's what I think is going to be going on here at the back end of the store, and having that side entrance is going to be really beneficial for them, not wanting to deal with all hours.
Could we do a Dungeons and Dragons night? You think too?
Oh, God, absolutely.
What if we had like a live action LARPing, like where we had people
and
showing
we have
up
the
in
camera up,
costumes?
and we can put it up on the projector and have some live action
Oh, this is great.
opportunities. Some of the Phase 2 stuff they talked about, they were mentioning how when you look into where you check out of the store here, you see
Yes.
the prison cells for the different villains. They're going to have, right now they're just painted on windows, but they're going to have TV monitors in there, and they're going to go and shoot something where you see like the character walk by the screen, like peeking through their window. I mean, the detail that's in the store is fantastic. And that's just something that they just happen to mention to me in passing that they're going to be doing here soon.
Oh my god. One of the things that I loved right off the bat is that you guys have vintage arcade systems in the back.
Yeah, I got to mention that thanks to Bart and Free Play, I want to make sure I say it right. Free Play Florida and Bart, sponsored the free games today, which are not only in the back corner here, but they're throughout the mall. I mean, out next to the kiosks and stuff. Another thing that I'm sure the store owners love about that this is spilling out into the store.
Well, it's also a big deal too that a lot of the artists and some of the proceeds from today are going to the Heroes Initiative.
Hero
It's
Initiative.
a huge charity. We've supported it in the past. We've got friends that have supported it, and it going to comic book artists who are sort of retired. And,
Yeah, I was going to ask you maybe go into a little bit more of a detail. I was going to have Todd come in and describe Hero Initiative to us.
Sure.
But if you want to go into a little bit more description of what the Hero Initiative has done for some of the artists.
Oh, Heroes Initiative, they've always got representatives at some of the major cons and things like that. And it's basically comic book artists don't have any sort of sense of retirement. It's a weird business, especially some from the older generation. So basically, Heroes Initiative is a program set up to help these artists, be it with, I believe sometimes it's medical costs, sometimes it's retirement costs, the cost of living and things like that. And it's honestly one of the best charities that you can donate to, because who here is not at the store that hasn't enjoyed a comic book or a hero or a person created by some of these artists? So it's a great way for you to give back and to show your love and support.
What a fantastic charity, and I'm glad to see that Todd and Anna support that, and I'm thinking today it's getting a lot of support. I saw a banner set up over there. I didn't know if that meant there was somebody here from the Hero Initiative.
Right now, there's a silent auction going on with the proceeds from that silent auction going to the Heroes Initiative. So I would encourage anybody that's listening to this or that's here at Gods and Monsters to go over and visit that. I know some of the comic book artists over there, Carlos Caballero, who's a friend of the Nerding Out About podcast, are donating a portion of the proceeds to the Hero Initiative. Some of the artists that we have over there in the Artist Alley.
Right. Do you happen to know what are in any of the silent auctions? I didn't get to see any.
Oh gosh, yeah. There's an amazing sort of like blown glass Darth Vader sort of panel. There's a full-on beautiful portrait of Harley Quinn. There's a zombie makeover at Lake City Con coming up, but it's a full-on movie quality zombie makeover right now. There's a kit full of like hot sauce and different like cooking powders and things like that over there. It's anything that you could possibly imagine. A lot of some variant comic books. I think there's a collection of 5 variant comic book covers that you can get over there. And right now, the bid is starting to slowly climb as people are seeing not only like how many people are in the store, but what good they can do for Hero Initiative. So go over there and bet. I'm sure you'll find some hidden gems over there that you will never be able to find anywhere else, but here at Gods and Monsters on opening day.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit more about your podcast. How many days a week do you do yours? And you tape them, and then I think, like you called me the other day, like we tape and then they air on Sundays, or is it different days of the week?
No, all episodes launch on Tuesday mornings.
Okay.
And it's a once-a-week podcast unless we have interviews, which we've interviewed a lot of people. It's a very Star Trek heavy show. We've been trying to drift a little bit more into other mediums, but like we've managed to have Doug Drexler, who was one of the makeup artists on The Next Generation and a visual effects artist who's been involved with Battlestar Galactica, all of the Star Treks.
Were these phone interviews, or were you actually with them?
No, these were over Skype and phone.
Okay. Quality-wise, I'm just curious for my own reasons. How does that work when you're trying to communicate with somebody like that through the Skype and the?
I've had
phones?
better luck with Skype. Phone, it's always going to come in a little bit fuzzy sounding.
Right.
And sometimes, like I run it directly into the soundboard.
Right.
So sometimes the quality they have a hard time hearing us from time to time.
Right.
I find that using Skype is probably the best option.
All right. Good to know.
Definitely one of the things is if your guest has a microphone hooked up to their computer, it's best that they use that, because if they're just using the mic on the phone, on the computer,
Right.
it's going to throw off the audio because they're going to hear the audio from you speaking at them, and
that
just kind of messes it up. But
So you mentioned you've been doing Star Trek podcasts. Any other topics you've been touching on recently?
Most of the podcasts that release we take a movie, either a beloved movie or a cult classic or just a movie that you even love to hate, and we dive into it. We call ourselves cinematic archaeologists. We go through the movies and we find all the cinematic facts that you never knew about it, possible casting choices for the movie. We're actually going to record The Goonies tonight. Other movies that we've covered are The Abyss. What are some of our more
Terminator 2,
Terminator 2,
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
God, that's funny. I think of this store when I think of Galaxy Quest. You know, if you have the audience for them, and they'd be dressed up, and we have the crew come in and then have a giant ship crash into the store. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
They had an amazing Star Trek convention, right, where they ranked all of the movies, and for fun, they threw in Galaxy Quest, and it came in number 4 out of all of the Star Trek movies that have ever been released.
I was going to say it did at least better than the one Shatner directed, but it did even better than that. It sounds
yes,
like.
and we've covered that one as well. Like we've covered. give us a listen. You'll probably find a movie on there or an interview of somebody that you'd love to hear some sort of backstories on, or a movie that you love that you'd like to learn a little bit more about, so that when you're sitting here at Gods and Monsters playing Pokemon cards in that back corner, waiting for your craft beer to be delivered to you, you can be like, well, did you know that this particular actor was the...
Do you have an upcoming episode that you want to promote? I mean, you just recorded one here. Do you have anything else coming up in the future that you know you're going to be podcasting about?
Yeah, keep an eye out. Keep an ear out for the Goonies. I'm excited about that. That's sort of a love fest.
We also have an upcoming follow-up to our interview with Vic Mignogna, he's a voice actor that's done a lot of animated films, like
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes. He also plays Captain Kirk on the Star Trek Continues web series, which, if you haven't seen, phenomenal.
Fantastic. Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There aren't a whole lot of episodes of those, and I keep wanting more of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of green dancing aliens, like that was one of the episodes.
Yeah, Lilani.
Was that the first one?
Yeah, that was the first full episode.
They used
Lilani.
her right away. They're like, we're gonna redo Star Trek. Give me the green chick.
Yeah.
Away.
We're going to have a follow-up with him. I'm sure we'll get Doug Drexler back on the podcast before.
Absolutely.
We're trying to get a friend of ours to come on the podcast, George Perez, who's a famous comic book artist.
Yeah.
And, keep an ear out. And
this live podcast ends at 11:30, so we just got a couple of minutes left. So
Sure.
It's Billy and Hutch Nerding Out About podcast. They can find that on iTunes.
Yes.
And they can find that on your webpage at
www.nerdingoutabout.com.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I mean, this is Gods and Monsters. This is what we want to do here. We want to interview other podcasters, tell us, what they think of things that are coming in here, what to expect in the future. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you,
for
sir.
having us.